So today we're gonna start assignments. Now, what are the basic data types and assignments in Python are similar to the other basic data types and assignment, not assignments, but the other basic data types that are there in other languages. But the use over here in Python is a little different. Actually, it is completely different from the other uses. Now, how it is different? As I told you, are that this is a dynamic language. Now, what I mean to be in dynamic language that it doesn't want to have any data type given in front of the variable. It allocates the type of the data as per the data that you give into put. So I will just explain you what I meant to say with this. So before that, I will just tell you what are the data types over here. You can see we have the basic data types and assignments that are integer, float, string, and complex number. These are the four basic data types are over here. We don't treat over here as characters because all the characters are considered over here as a string. We don't have double because there is no limit of float into this. Okay, so we don't have doubles and many other things. Integer has no limit over here. You can put n number of data and get the output. So we're gonna test each and every bit to bit of it in this session. So let us start with integer. So now, you can see over here in this example, there is no int x written. Why it is not written? Because there is a dynamically typed language, and into this language, what happens when you write some numbers, automatically the type of that number of the variable becomes an integer type, that is int type. Now over here, each and every things are means an object is created as an object. For example, x is equal to 10, where x is the object of the class int. Are you getting me? We are creating an object of class int that is x. So you can see the type of x when you put on the type of x, it gives you the class int. Now, if you are not familiar with the class and object, what is actually is, so you need not worry for this because we will cover class and object in few weeks. Okay. So on that particular time, I will explain what is class and how an object of that class is created. Okay. Beforehand, we will just focus on this, that how to know the type, which type of data it is. So we'll do it practically to make you understand much better. So I'll just switch my screen. Okay. So we are over here, and now we'll just create another file named j2.py. Okay, this is good. Now over here we'll just write like we want to store x or a. A is the variable that I want to store, and I will write a equals to maybe 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, any amount of data. Okay, so this is how we are getting the we're storing the values into variables. Okay, now we'll just print a. When we print a, you will find that let me just save this code. See over here, it is a cross. That means the code has been saved easily. And now we'll just execute this. So how to execute it? We'll write Python dot slash source, not source. We are directly in webinar 3.0, and inside that we are in session 1, and inside that we are in day 2. Okay, we made a mistake. I need to shift this to here. Yeah, now it is good. Now we have day 2.py. And when we execute it, you'll find that we are getting the integer over here, the value of that a over here. This is how we're going to print. If we write this in single quotes, then it doesn't act as a variable. It acts as a string. So if you want to execute this, then it will only print a, but not the value inside a. Are you getting me? So to print the value inside a, we need to write the variable name in the print function. When it is passed on to the function, it prints the value of that variable. Now, if you want to print the type of a, means which class it does denote, it is an integer type, float type, string type. What is the type of the data type of that variable? So for that, we need to print. You can print it and write it down type. Type is again a function, so we're gonna again include the parentheses and we'll pass on a. So what actually is happening over here, we are finding the type of A first, and that whatever the value it returns, we are just printing that value. Okay, the simplest way to understand this is this way. So if you want to store this, you can store this and print it. That is also correct. It's according to you how you just implement the codes. So you will find that we are getting the class as in. Are you getting me? Now, you will find in other languages like Java, C, C++, there is a particular storage capacity of integer, then float. So you cannot store more data other than that one data, or else you will go error. Now I will show you if I store n number of data over here in A, n number of data. I should not use a decimal point. This becomes a float value. I will not use a decimal point. I will just store n number of data. You can see how many data I'm just storing. Now, if you would be working on C, C++ with a normal integer type data type, then it will throw you a big error, or else it may hang the compiler too. Now over here, these things become so easy that you will find the entire data, and there is no compromise because it's a dynamically allocation memory. Okay, as per the memory of the needed to the data, it allocates the memory in the it allocates the memory in Python. Okay, so there is no issue of data handling in Python. So this also makes it more popular than over the other languages like C, C++, Java. Okay, now if you want to go for like I will just documenting the parts. Like I will just write uh, data types, and inside data type, the first data type that we have, see, this is the commenting in Python. Hash is used for comment in Python. Now I will write first data type is integer. Okay, now we'll go for the second data type. Second is float. So first of all, we'll just go to over here. If we miss something, let's see. Okay, you can see over here that we can store negative data, positive data. Whatever data we want to store, we can store those data over here, and it has no limits of the data, and it will give the exactly the same data right over here. Okay, now we'll go for the float. Now, to store float is basically the decimal numbers. Okay, whatever things you have, you will write in points like 1.2, 2.5, 3.2. These all things are known as floats. Okay, so let us give an example. Like we have x equals to 2.4345. Okay, now if we print this, print x. Now what it will show, it will show you the float type. It will print this value. So let us execute this. Let me comment this so that we don't get confused with the values. And now we'll just execute this, and we'll find that we are getting 2.4345. Okay, now if you want to check the type of the data over here, print type and the type of x. So when we do this, then it gives you the type of the data, and when we execute this, it gives you float type. Okay, but if we remove the decimal, the same question, same variable, same program, but we are removing just the decimal point. Now if we execute it, it will give you the type int. So you can see it is dynamically allocating the memory, as well as it's dynamically allocating the type of the data that is being stored by you. So I will just leave it to some decimal points, and it could be anything. There is no limit. There is no limit. It could be anything. Sorry, sir. I cannot write other than numbers. It could be anything. Now, if you execute this, it will give you all the data. So this is how it is. It is being used over here. Getting. So now, when we move forward with the other thing, like let us come over here, and we'll come with the complex numbers. Now, what are the complex numbers? You must have heard of the complex numbers like real plus imaginary numbers equals to complex numbers. Okay, so what are the real numbers? This 3 which don't has an imaginary part into it is the real part, and this 5j which has a j is in the imaginary part, and which denotes the imaginary part, and 5 is the value of that imaginary part, and this is called entirely called as the complex number. This is the real part and this is the imaginary part. Now we can do this like now you must be thinking that we haven't covered string. Why we haven't covered string over here? Actually, string is also a part of the sequences. Okay, so when we will do sequences, we'll cover string over there only. So 3, and over here we have string. So not string, we have the complex numbers. Now if we have a value like a equals to 3 plus 5j, okay, this is the value a equals to 3 plus 5j. Now I'm gonna print a, and I'm gonna execute this code. So we'll find that I'm getting the value as 3 plus 5j. If I'm just having another value like b, now I will show you how to do multiple printing of the data. Okay, so we have another value b equals to, for example, only 4, and we have another data c equals to, we have 5j or 10j, anything. So this is there. Now either you can print this way, a b c, which you understood, I believe, how to print this way. So this is the multiple type of printing, one method. And now with a single statement, how you can print it. Now with a single statement using commas, we can print it a b c. So this will allow you to have multiple statements using comma in a single line. See, you can see when we wrote it, print a, print b, print c, it took 3 lines. Means when we are initializing a print statement, it executes with the end what we say as new line character. Okay, it executes with a new line character, that is in other words /n. You can see over here /n. This is, it executes with a new line character. So this is the reason that when we are using multiple print statements, it is giving next lines, new lines each and every time the print statement is executed. But when we are executing it in a single line, then it is giving it in a single line because one new line character has been executed. That is for this print, and for next other new line characters are not executed. So we will get the data side by side with spaces into it. Now, if you want to execute the new line character also in a single statement, then how you going to do this? I'll just copy this so that you have the records of every bit of it. Now, if you want to have the new line character into it after every line, so what I need to do, I need to put a /n. In double quotes, we'll put /n. In double quotes or single quotes. Now today I will explain you what is actually double quotes and single quotes over here later on in this topics. But now you just understand either a double quote or single quote, whatever you give, it acts as a string. So inside this, I will just put on /n, and same I will do over here in between the commas. I will just put on a single quotes and a /n. So I have given 2 new line characters, and now I will execute this code, and you can find that we are getting the same data as we were getting a few when we are using multiple print statements. We are getting exactly the same data. Now, if you don't want the spaces, you can remove the spaces. Then you will find that the spaces that are coming over here before this, these spaces will also get removed. So when we execute this, these spaces are not there. Now there is only the lines. So this is how we can have means what you can say multiple statements, multiple print statements, or multiple printing in a single print statement. So I will just comment this. I hope you understood the complex value. I will not comment this part because we have more things to do with the complex. Like if we want to have the real part, if you want to clear the imaginary part, so all are there. So now if you want to create a complex numbers, means you have two values and you want to create a complex number, then we have a function called complex. Now let us execute this. So we'll just write down like let it be z equals to complex 2 comma 3. So what is this? This first part is the real part and the second part is the complex value. Okay. Now I want to print this, print z. So what happens? It will give me the complex value 2 plus 3j. You can see over here 2 plus 3j. Now if I write it like a 0 plus 0 comma 3j, so when I execute it, you will find only 3j. There is no 0 because 0 plus anything is that value may be neglected. So this is how it is going on. Now if I pass, let it be, okay, there is another method like this is the storing method, means I'm just executing the function first and then I'm storing and then I'm implementing. In Python you can have multiple functions used inside the function and then inside the function. So this could also be written as directly in print in a single line. This is what Python does. It can execute the codes in a single line, complex, and inside that I will pass on the data 2 comma 5. So what will happen? It will first execute the complex function, then the whatever data it returns, it will print that data over here. So we'll just execute this code, and you will find that we are getting the data as 2 plus 5j. Okay, now we'll just after doing this, I hope you understood this. So after doing this, we'll just move to the real and imaginary values. How to get the real values and imaginary values out of it. So for getting the real values, you will need to write that x dot real. Now what is x? This is the variable that is storing the real part, or means the complex number, and same variable that is storing the imaginary number. For example, if we take this as the variable a, so we can write print a dot real and comma a dot imaginary. For imaginary, we had image function. Okay, we have written these two functions and now we'll execute it. Okay, I believe I made a mistake. Okay, this is an object type. It will not act as a function. So this is the mistake that I made. Okay, so now if you execute it, you will find that we are getting two values, 3 and 5, and these values are coming from this a over here. I hope you understood this. So if you understood, just let me know so that we can proceed further. Okay, so I hope it's a positive response from your side. So now we'll move further with the topic, and now to find the length. Now, what is the length of a complex number? It is actually the you can say the absolute value that we find out of a number, or else a mod of a. You must have taken modulus of many complex values, like modulus of a is equals to under root of a square plus b square, and that is what this absolute value is all about. And we can easily get this absolute value within a single line only. Find absolute value. Let me write it down first. And when we do this, we'll just write print, and inside that we'll pass on the values like ABS is used for calculation of absolute value, and inside that we need to pass on the complex numbers. We let the complex numbers be 3 plus 10j. Now this is the complex number 3 plus 10j, and I'm passing it to the ABS function. Now this function is for calculating the absolute value, and now I will just execute this code. And when I just I need to just take this off. Now when I execute this code, I'm getting the value as 10.44. Now let us take a value that we know, like 9 plus 16 is equals to 25. So let it be 4. So 3 plus 4j, the answer should come to 5, because under root of 9, 3 square plus 4 square is 25, under root of 25 is 5. So the answer should be 5 over here. So let us execute this, and you will find that we are getting the answer as 5. So this is working great. Now, as I told, you can use function into function into function. Now, if you don't want to make a predefined function, you can directly use the complex function over here, complex, and inside that you can pass on 3, comma 4, and you will get the output as 5. You can see we are getting the output as 5. So this is what the values over here differ, means the way differ. That there are many ways to do this single thing. So this is where we come to the complex numbers. Now we are end with this complex number. So I will just comment this. Okay, which part you want me to repeat? Just let me know. Just let me know which part you want me to repeat. Tapaswini. Complex length. Okay. See, complex length is nothing, but you can write it something like this: mod of a equals to square root of sqrt. This is what is called square root of a square plus b square. So this is what actually the process of absolute number is. It is the square root of a square plus b square. Now, sorry, not x, x squared plus y squared, where a equals to x plus yj. I will just take this off from here and keep it to the brackets of over here, so that it is easier for us to understand that this was an example. Now you can see that we have taken a equals to x plus yj. Now this is the complex value, and when we want to find the absolute value, it is mod of a, that is square root of x square plus y square. Okay, so over here, if you see it, now this is the absolute function which calculates this value, square root of x square plus y square. Now over here, we are finding that the let me remove this, and inside this function, I will just pass on x plus this complex value with x plus yj. Let it be 3 plus, let this be 3 plus 10j. Now I passed on the complex value over here, 3 plus 10j, and when I passing this should give you not 3 plus 10j, let it be 4j, so that we get an exact value. So 3 plus 4j. Now if we calculate it, 3 3s are 9, plus 4 4s are 16. So 9 plus 16 is 25, means this part is 25, and square root of 25 is 5. So the answer should be 5. When we execute this, then the answer is given 5. You can see the answer is given 5. So I hope you understood this, and now I will just leave it to the previous part as it is. Now we're going to go for the typecasting. Now, what is typecasting actually? Typecasting is changing one data type to another data type. For example, if I am having some data type in integer type, okay. Now I want it to be changed to the float type or character type, or no, here there is no character type, there is string type. So if I want to change the data to the string type, so how I will be changing it? So for changing that data to the string type, we have typecasting. Now the first typecasting that we will be covering over here is the integer typecasting. So nothing to worry of it, like the values we need to pass on over here, like there is a value 2.8. Now this is a float type, but when we change it to integer, only 2 will be remaining and rest will be removed. So this is what typecasting is. Okay, tree is a string type. There is a double quote you can see over here. There is a string type data. When we are typecasting it to integer type, then it will change to only tree. So this is how typecasting works. So we'll just work it once. I'll just comment this part as well as these 3 lines so that we don't get any other data. And now we'll start with typecasting and integer typecasting. So in integer typecasting, we'll just cast on like a equals to int of, let it be typecasting a character. Okay, int of 45. Now 45 is a character because we have sorry, string we have, because we have stored in double quotes. So when we typecast it and when we just print a and we just print the type of a, so you will find that we are getting it as integer. Okay, but if you want to check it, like we are storing it in z equals to 45 in a string format, 45, and I'm just passing on the variable name over here z, so that we are passing the 45 string, and I will be just printing this line type, sorry, this line also over here, so that I could find the type of z before this, the value before this, and value after I converted to typecast. Okay, so I will be just printing this. You will find that beforehand it was a class of string, but after this it is a class of int. Okay, so this is how things get changed. Now if it is a float type, then also it will change with the int type. For example, if we have another value like f is equals to 4.65, now I'm just passing f over here. Okay, so if you want to see the float type of over here, so you can see this, you will pass on the type of f, and we'll just execute this code. So we'll find that the type of f is float. I will just comment this part and execute this again. So you can see type of f is float, but when it is typecasted, the value 4.65 becomes only 4. The decimal part is removed, and now the new value is of integer type. Similarly, we'll typecast for float. Now, if you go to the float, you can see we will typecast it for float in the same manner. If you're typecasting 1, then it becomes 1.0, because 1 was an integer type, and then it will be typecasted, it will become 1.0. 2.8 is a float type, so if you typecast also, it will remain in the float type. 3 is the character type. When you typecast it to the float, it will become 3.0. And 4.2 in a string type, when you typecast it to float, it will become your string type, means your float type 4.2 only. Are you getting this point? So let us execute one of them. Like we'll write float type, and we'll just write like x equals to, in single quotes, we'll write 334.89. So this is what we have written, and we'll just typecast it. Like you can do it directly, or else you can do it as per your requirement. So I will just do it like a equals to type of not type. I'll just typecast it to float. So I will write float, and inside that function I'll pass on the value of x, because x is my variable name, and I will just print a, and I will just print the type of a, or else I can print it right over here with a comma. It is your choice wherever you want to write type of a. So when I will save this and execute this code, so you will find that it has become to the float type. Okay. Now, if you might think that if I'm using this value only, what is the problem? Now, when I'm using this float type, I can use all the operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, all the operations. But if I'm leaving the thing over here in the string type, then I cannot use the addition, subtraction, and multiplication properties over here. Are you getting my point? So this is the reason why we want different type of typecasting methods. So this was the float type. If you want to change to the string type, it is str, the typecast. We'll just go for it. Now there is a divmod function. So what is a divmod function actually? It gives you the quotient and remainder when you are dividing it. For example, we have z and we are using the divmod function x comma y. Means x is the quotient and sorry, not the quotient. X is the uh, divisor and y is the dividend. Sorry, I made a mistake. X is the dividend and y is the divisor. Okay, so x is 9 and y is 3. So 9 divided by 3 is 3, and the remainder becomes 0. So it becomes 3 comma 0. So now I will tell you one more tricks of Python. So let me introduce the divmod function. Let it be like x equals to divmod, and inside that I'm passing on two values like uh, 21 comma 7. So it should give you 3 comma 0, 7 to the 21. So it is 3 comma 0 because there is no remainder into it. So I will just print x. So it's giving 3 comma 0. If I write like 8, very good. You are getting the concepts. If I'm writing 8, then it will be having certain remainders and it will provide you the remainder with it. So the value is 2 comma 5 is the remainder. Now over here you will find that this is known as tuple data because we have parentheses enclosed into it. We'll just explain the tuple data when we go for sequences. Okay. So now if you want to break it down, then how we'll go for it? If you want different data for this x comma y. Now if you write something like this, then the quotient will be stored in x and the remainder will be stored in y. Let us test it once. So you can see we are getting 2 over here, and if you write comma y, then you will get 5 over there. I believe the code has not been saved. Yeah, we'll get 5 over here. So 2 is stored in x and 5 is stored in y separately. So this is how you can separate the data. X is you can means if you are writing it in brackets in two data, it is accepting two data from the this divmod function, and each data will be considering to one variable. So this is how Python makes things easier. Okay, so this is the thing of divmod function. So this is the exercise. You need to do it. You need to practice it. And if you find any difficulty, you will just let me know. Just note it down, and once you note it down, just let me know that you have done with it, and we'll proceed further. I don't understood your question. Divmod function is used for division function. That means what do you want to ask? Your question is not clear to me. Just brief it a little bit. Division purpose. Okay. See, division is only to get the data. For example, there is a thing like I'm just writing like 4 divided by 2. So if I'm writing this and I'm just printing this value 4 divided by 2, it will give you again 2. Okay, it is giving you 2. I will just remove this. But if it is not getting printed like 4 divided by 3, so 4 divided by 3, now if you just execute this, so it's 1.33. It's giving the value, but it's not showing what is the quotient and what is the remainder. Okay, it's dividing it exactly to the number and giving you the exact value. But if you want to separate like the dividend and quotient in a particular integer numbers, not the float one, which is a completely divided value. So if you pass on this value in divmod, divmod 4 comma 3. If we pass on these values in the divmod, then if we execute this code now, then we'll find that one is the quotient and one is the remainder. So you can see there is a lot of difference in the output data of the division property or the division operator and output data of this. So have you written this code? If you have completed writing this code, then we'll move forward. Yes. Okay. So now there is a Python identifiers. Now, what do you understand by identifiers? Identifiers is something that takes people, thing, or any other component to identify themselves. For example, if you have mm, an apple and an orange, then if you say apple, no one will pick up the orange and give it to you. They know that this particular thing is defined by the name apple. Now, if you have two friends, named differently, then those names are identified to them. Now, identify is especially the naming technique to a function, class, or any other property, a variable, everything. So this is the naming property. Now, this is similar to other naming properties in other languages like C++, Java. So it is also similar to this. Now, you can see the exact definition of it. An identifier is a name given to entities like class, functions, variables, etc. It helps to differentiate one entity from another. Okay, for example, I have x equals to 10 over here. I will just take this off, and I will just print x over here, and again I will execute this with a different value. That both the values means both the values should be stored. Yeah. So I will just print this. So when I print this again, you will find that okay. Now you will find that first it was x value was 10. Now x value has shifted to 20. But if I make it to the different variable name, then the values are restored. X value remains x value, and y value becomes 20. So this is what you are exactly correct to differentiate from one another. Okay. So these are the rules, few rules. Like identifiers can be combination of letters in lowercase a to z, okay, or uppercase a to z, or digits, or an underscore. Okay. Now names like my class, var1. So these are the examples. These are the valid examples of the naming. You can see it is combination of lowercase and uppercase. This format of writing is known as camel case of writing. Just I'm repeating the thing. This format of writing is known as camel case of writing, which we start with the first word as with a smaller case, lower case. Then when the new word has been introduced, for example, class is another word, so we'll make the first letter of the class C to uppercase, and then for example my class name. So we'll create name, first letter of name, that is N, in capital. So this is the way of writing, and this is known as camel case of writing. So similarly, this is and now we will move to the next point. Like an identifier cannot start with a digit. Okay, it cannot be written as one variable. This is a 1a. This is not possible. A1 is possible, but 1a is not possible. For example, 1a is not possible. This cannot store any values. It will unexpected token A. You can see this is the error lens. I told you to install error lens as an extension. This is shown by error lens. Now if you replace it with A1, then this is all good. A1 is all good. Okay, so okay, I put a minus over here, so it's showing me an error. So now I can see A1 is all good, but 1A was not good. So this is what it meant to say. Now keywords cannot be used as identifiers. Now what are the keywords? Any function or any names that are used by a predefined function, class, variables cannot be used over in a user-defined variable name. For example, print is a predefined function. You cannot create a function named print. Now I will move the function later on. Okay, so def print, this will throw an error. This will throw an error. It is not giving any error because it has no logical error. Sorry, no syntax error, but there is a logical error. So when we execute this, you will find that nothing has been, for example, nothing has been executed. So this is the thing that happens. Okay, so you cannot define variables with the name of, like, you cannot write print equals to anything. This is not the method of writing. Okay, so you should not write this things. And now we cannot use special characters or special symbols, what we say, like not. This is an exclamatory sign, but in computer language we call it as a not. Then at the rate, hash. Then you have this dollar sign, percentile. In computer language we call it as modulo. Modulo is the sign name. So this is the cannot be used. Now identifier can be of any length. Okay, there is no limit that you can have only 3 characters, 20 characters, 30 characters. There is no limit. You can have n number of length of identifiers. Okay, so now this will start with sequence, but we will not start the sequence today. Our sequence is not a joke. Okay, we need to cover up a sequence because sequence consists of, I believe, 4 to 5 sectors. Like it has string, it has list, it has tuple, it has dictionary, and it has sets. So it has 5 sectors, and each sector will take one classes. It is such a vast thing, sequences. So sequences is a big thing. So we will not start the sequences today. So till then, if you have any doubt with the previous topics, you can put on the comment section.